What's going on, guys? I've got here a 2009 Hyundai Accent, and I'm using this car to point out to you the location of the relay for the air conditioning, as well as the AC fuses. And I'll give you some troubleshooting steps for things to look out for when the AC is not working on your Accent. So we're going to begin by moving under the hood, and we're going to find the fuse box here. It's over on the driver's side. Real simple to open this up. There's just a button here on the back that you push in, and then you lift up on the cover here. Doing this is going to expose the AC relays and the fuses. Now this is your AC relay right here. This gets activated by the computer whenever the computer decides that the AC should be on. And when it activates, it takes power from our AC fuse and it sends that power to the AC compressor for it to engage. Now the two fuses involved in that, there's going to be one right here. This 10 amp fuse is actually where the power to engage the compressor comes from. I'm pulling this out just to show you what a good fuse looks like. There's another fuse, also a 10 amp fuse, located right here. Power from this fuse is used for activating these relays. So definitely check that out as well. Now my favorite way to troubleshoot our AC relay is I'll have the engine running with the AC turned on, and I'll come in here under the hood and I'll actually just tap on this AC relay. Sometimes relays can get stuck, and by tapping or wiggling the relay, you can get it to start working again. Further troubleshooting beyond that, we can actually remove our AC relay, set it aside, and we can take another relay and swap it in. I like to use our horn relay. If your horn works, you know your horn relay works, so we can swap that in just to see if that's what it takes to get it fixed again. If after you make the switch, your horn stops working and your AC compressor starts engaging, well then you know your original relay is probably no good. Now, we can actually manually engage the AC compressor. But before we do that, I just want to go over a few steps you'll want to do before you get to that point. So if we move over to the passenger side of the car, this is where we'll find the AC compressor itself. And we're also going to find these ports here. So there's a small port right here. There's a larger port right in here. This larger port is the high pressure port. The low pressure port is here, and it's actually through here you can add additional Freon. So the number one reason why your AC is not working is because you've got a slow leak and your Freon is leaked out. So you'll want to add Freon, or at least check and make sure that you have adequate levels of Freon in here. And we can see the compressor down here at the bottom. You'll know that the compressor is engaged if you see the front of the pulley rotating. So the back part of the pulley has the belt on it, and that should be spinning whenever the car is on. And it's the front part that we want to see rotating. If you see the front part here rotating, then you know that your compressor is engaged. Let me see if I can get a better angle on it. So yeah, if you see this front part spinning, that means your compressor is engaged. Now, as I mentioned, the computer is what decides if the compressor should be activated. And the computer may disable your air conditioning if you have a misfire. So, or some other reason that's making the check engine light coming on. So if your check engine light is on, you'll want to look into that before you start to go too far into why your AC is not working. Now, back to manually powering up the compressor. So we can do this by removing our AC relay and connecting these two pins together. So there are two pins down in here. If we just connect them, then that should result in power being sent to our AC compressor, making it engage. So you can actually damage your AC system if you do this, if there's too much Freon in the system or not enough Freon, which is why I mentioned you're going to want to verify that. You can also damage the engine if the engine's not running right and you engage the compressor. You're putting an additional load on the engine. So yeah. Just some things to think about, some troubleshooting steps for you. You'll also want to make sure, if you have an issue where your AC works great when you're driving, but when you come to a stop, it's not so cold, you'll want to make sure that both of your radiator cooling fans are working. And I have a separate video about those fans if you want to check that out. Now, I hope this was a good starting point for you. Please do let me know down below if you have any questions, or more importantly, any advice about the AC. Thanks for watching.